Welcome, anyone watching this, probably only Professor Salim. Today, you, my lucky friend, are going to listen to me lecture about the geography of coffee. That's right, coffee. You already know, maybe, if you're Professor Salim, that I enjoy coffee a lot and I work at Starbucks. So, this is kind of close to home. This is what I care about and what I have been taught a lot at work because that's what they make you do. Alright, intro. By the way, this may be in multiple parts because I do not know how to edit videos, so I'm sorry about that. Alright, so, that was my intro. Okay, intro. So as I said before, I will be talking about coffee, our favorite thing. So you know that it's very popular in the U.S. Everyone drinks coffee. A statistic is that 54% of Americans over the age of 18 drink coffee every day, which is kind of crazy when you think about it because coffee is like $1 or $2 every glass, and that means everyone's spending so much money on coffee. So popular coffee chains like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts have coffee for everyone. They have little kiddie drinks, they have super strong drinks, they have medium drinks, so that everyone can get in on the coffee sensation. Just started 100 years ago. People didn't even care about coffee, but now it's become a new thing. So Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts come in. So the U.S. actually spends about $4 million a year on coffee. That's it. That's a lot of coffee. That's a lot of coffee. Alright, so although all these Americans are drinking coffee, not a lot of people know where their coffee comes from. They just probably assume, Africa or something like that. But coffee comes from all over the world, and today you're going to learn about it. So another thing people are learning about now, or wanting to learn about now, is if things are organic and fair trade and all things like that. Things that have newly become popular to know about because 20 years ago people didn't care, but now that's the thing. So places like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts have made it important to show people where they get their coffee from, and so they make sure their things are fair trade. Fair trade is, long story short, a quick definition because we're going to go in depth later on in my lecture, but pretty much it's a movement to help producers in developing countries get better rights, get paid better, because basically they're being paid nothing. For example, I don't know specific numbers, but they'll pick for a certain amount of pounds, they'll get 20 cents for a day, and the producers can sell that for $5. They make so much profit, and the pickers don't get anything. And that's not very fair, so cue in fair trade. Bah. Yeah, and then organic is another thing too. People are adding hormones into everything, making everything grow faster. But for good coffee beans, you need time and effort and no chemicals pumped in everything. That's one of the few things that needs to be kind of pure as opposed to every other fruit or vegetable in the world. Yeah, so coffee beans have a really specific taste. You can't really alter it that much or it won't be as good as it's supposed to be, so people need to learn to not, change everything because that's not coffee. Coffee is now becoming not coffee anymore. Places like Starbucks that have, frappuccinos and stuff, they're, coffee-based. No, that's not coffee. So, it's becoming more of a culture thing than as just a drink to enjoy to stay up because people are not even drinking coffee anymore. So coffee is an essential part of American life, and it is always changing. By locating the origin, finding out how it's made, and seeing how it gets to us, we can learn more about the coffee that we drink every day and just be a little more educated about the thing we're spending $40 million a year on. And now you're going to learn about the origin of coffee. That is Ethiopia, my friend. That's a picture of a beautiful waterfall and probably an Ethiopian man that had just picked some coffee beans from his plants in his backyard or wherever they do that. So the first step in finding the geography of coffee is to see where it originated from. So it actually is not specifically documented where it originated, but it's really assumed that it is around the Arabian Peninsula, most specifically Ethiopia, which is not on the Arabian Peninsula, but it's really close, and they're connected, especially before. So, yeah. So one of the legends that is popular that is accepted most is the legend of, sorry, I'm fixing myself, of Kaldi. So Kaldi was a poor sheep herding his sheep along, and he would always hang out with his sheep, and he eventually noticed that all of his sheep were stopping and eating berries from this one tree, and then they would not stop running around, and they would not go to bed. And then he realized something's up with that tree. There's some things there that are making these little sheep not go to bed. So, faithful as he was, he took his findings and these berries to his monastery, because everyone was super religious back then, and he gave it to a monk, and the monk decided that, wow, this is super helpful. So he concocted a drink out of the berries, probably coffee, or some type of tea with the leaves that made them stay up forever. Or not forever, but, made them stay up really long. And they really appreciated that, so they could be able to study and be able to do whatever monks do at midnight. And they really liked it. So soon they started spreading all their coffee goodness everywhere. Everyone was loving it. Coffee shops started opening, places all over the world. Have you heard of Turkish coffee? So Turkey is on the Arabian Peninsula, but it's like northwest Peninsula, Turkey. And they really enjoy coffee. They have their own special way of doing it with sand, and it's really fine, and apparently it's really great, but I've never tried it before, but it sounds fantastic. So yeah, so it used to be only Ethiopian and the Arabian Peninsula, hence the name Arabica beans, because the Arabian Peninsula. So they pretty much had a monopoly on it for a long time until the Dutch came in, and they were like, hey, we want some of that goodness, and they finally got their own beans. So they tried planting them in India and did not work out. They did not flourish the way they were supposed to. So then they took it to the Indonesia, which is a colony that they had, and excuse me, and they took it to an island called Java, which I just learned, because totally makes sense. Java is a euphemism for coffee. Let's go get a cup of Java, because it is known for that island is known for having coffee, like the first plantations of coffee. So that's cool. Also, they took it to Sumatra. I don't know if many people hear of that a lot, but at least at Starbucks, that's one of our most popular blends. That's actually one of my favorites that we have, and I'm assuming it's from Sumatra, not just called that. So they have some good stuff. Very nutty, very, very woody and nutty is what comes from there. So that's pretty cool. Learning a lot about coffee here in my research. So, yeah, so soon after it got popular with the Dutch, kind of spread out, a lot of people started having their own things, so now it's cultivated all over the world. Not in the North America usually, but a lot in South America. A lot of the Latin American countries have it. India is starting to have it now, but not as much as Southeast Asia, and still the Arabian Peninsula. And then now Africa, obviously. Africa is super into coffee, and it's many countries, many poor countries at least, it's their main export, because they don't really do anything else, so they have coffee as their main export, and they don't make a lot of money from it because fair trade isn't in place everywhere, so hopefully they'll be getting some of that love soon too. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the different places that sell coffee in the U.S. So, the first place I'm going to talk about is, can you guess? Starbucks. That's our little logo, and some frappuccinos, and your local barista serves you with a smile. yeah, so Starbucks is one of the most popular in the U.S., probably the most popular in the U.S. It has a couple competitors, which we'll discuss later, but yeah, they're very different. They focus on having really good beans and having really good quality. Lately, they've been moving more towards frappuccinos, and they've been trying to get everyone in their grasp, not just people that drink coffee. They're trying to get everyone. So they have little drinks for kids. They have drinks for people that don't like coffee. They have drinks for everyone. You don't even need to. It's called Starbucks coffee, but you don't even need to go in and get coffee to get a drink, which is actually pretty good. I mean, I don't know about good for them at least. They make money because everyone goes, and they've made it so that it's not just you go for coffee and that's it. It's become a whole movement, and I think that's pretty interesting. So, yeah, Starbucks is Seattle-based, and, excuse me, my coffee's getting cold. Sorry, I closed my thing when I did that. Okay, so Starbucks has like 10,000 locations all across the U.S., and they're very international. They have one of our main stores, our biggest stores, are in Japan. We have one in Ethiopia. We have a lot in Italy that are actually very world-renowned, that have like beer and wine, and they're getting crazy and getting all into everything. But yeah, Starbucks is one of the most popular in the U.S. So now we'll go to Dunkin' Donuts. Everybody runs on Dunkin', right? Isn't that the thing? Yeah. So that's their, like, version of Frappuccinos. So, this is Dunkin' Donuts. Since you're from the East Coast... Oh, actually, are you from the West Coast? I don't know where you're from. But whoever's listening, if you happen to live on the West Coast, you've probably never seen it before, or you think they have cheap little donuts and that's it, because you love Starbucks and that's it. But, if you open your mind and go to the East Coast, you will notice that Dunkin' Donuts is actually very popular, and it kind of evens out to Starbucks. It's kind of crazy, actually. So, yeah, Dunkin' Donuts is really popular for a lot of people. It's not much, so they used to, getting ahead of myself. They started as a drink company, as a donut company, but they soon decided that they were going to start releasing drinks once they're seeing how popular Starbucks was getting. So then they started making drinks when they realized how popular Starbucks was getting. And soon it used to be everyone, I forget the slogan, but it was something about, like, America loves our donuts, and now they changed it to America runs on Dunkin', because now they decided they're a beverage company. They officially released it in 2006. It's in my paper, but they released it in 2006, that they're now a beverage company, and that just happens to sell donuts, which is like Starbucks, because Starbucks sells a lot of pastries and food and stuff like that, with like a drink on the side. So yeah, they're both drink companies. Yeah. So Dunkin' Donuts has food, but it's mostly drinks. Their drinks, they don't pride themselves mostly on quality. They're mostly about advertising. That's how they get people in there, advertising, and they're actually very good competitors with Starbucks, not only because of their, like, ferocious advertising that makes you just want to go in there. I mean, something about a s'mores donut makes you just kind of want to go, but, like, graham cracker, yeah. But, yeah, so they have a lot of drinks that compete with Starbucks, because, as I said before, coffee isn't getting... Places that sell coffee aren't that coffee-based anymore. So at Starbucks it's a Frappuccino, but at Dunkin' Donuts it's a Coolada, which is still the ice blended with coffee. And those are really popular. So the next place I am going to talk about is a place you've probably never heard about, unless you're a geography person. Tim Hortons. Ooh. So Tim Hortons is... Guess where? In Canada. Good old Canada. So, they apparently like coffee there. No, just kidding. Everyone likes coffee. Not only 54% of Americans, just people in general drink a lot of coffee because it gets them up. So, Tim Hortons is another place that sells coffee. They're mostly a food place, though. They're mostly known for their food. But it's another good competitor. These are the top 3 in the U.S. So Starbucks has like 10,000 locations. Dunkin' Donuts has like 7,000 locations in the U.S. and Tim Hortons has about 3,000 in Canada, but it has about 1,000 in the U.S. So that's still a lot for a Canadian place. They sell coffee. Their coffee still isn't like, they don't pride themselves on quality, but they still have coffee and people, it's still really popular. So it shows how people, no matter how the coffee is, they just go just to have the experience of coffee. Okay, that was part 1, and we'll see how many more parts there are, but I'll be right back.